Hello and welcome, it's me Martin, and today I have another video for you. Today we're going to be looking at how I plan an online lesson with a traditional course book and things to consider when you're planning your own online lesson. Now, the course book that I'm going to be using is Total English. It's intermediate level. It's a course book that I've used, and it's a course book that I enjoy using and planning from. Also, on top of that, I have the teacher's book here. There was a question on a video, a couple of videos actually, by one person who wants to know how to use a teacher's book, but I'm not entirely sure how else to use a teacher's book as a guide, as a reference. When it comes down to looking at a teacher's book, it's probably best to consider what's recommended, because it's essentially a guide, a roadmap, and also to consider things that you would incorporate into your lesson. So don't follow this as regimentally as possible. Try and use the teacher's book as a guide to help inform you what's best for your class and to give you some inspiration for developing the lesson and planning it accordingly. Perhaps you can help this person who has a few questions about using a teacher's book in the comments below, so please share your ideas and your thoughts in the comments about how best to accommodate a teacher's book when you're planning a lesson and what sort of things that you consider when you're planning and referring to the teacher's book as well. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started and let me share with you the sort of things that I like to incorporate when I'm planning my own lesson. So the first thing that I tend to do is I like to have a look at the teacher's book first of all, and this will give me an overview of what sort of things to consider. So having a look at the teacher's book, particularly for Unit 3, which I'm referring to, is there's a lead in and it's about home. And I can see that there's the vocabulary related to home. There's probably going to be some vocabulary related to home which does not exist in a student's L1. So it's very important for me, based on my own experience, about what sort of things to consider and how to introduce vocabulary when it's not existing in a student's L1. So that's just one thing to consider. I can see that there's a nice lead-in. There's additional overviews about 3.1. There's the can-do statements which relate to the CFR. So making a complaint. The grammar is about future plans. Speaking and pronunciation, how to, but that's a bit later. But first of all, what I want to do is have a think about how will I introduce this topic for the students so that they are prepared. So let's make a few notes. I'm having a look at the lead-in for the teacher's book, and I can see that it's all about home. Some nice images in the course book. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to think about pictures related to home. Okay, so I've written down a few ideas about how to get started with the first steps of the lesson. And one thing that I'm going to be trying to look at is finding some images online of different things related to the home. And then I'm also going to be developing a survey so students can ask each other certain questions related to home. And I think if there's a sort of matching exercise, that would be great. And also a sort of conversation, student to student activity online to develop some information gathering related to the topic, that's usually a really good activity, especially in a physical classroom. But within an online environment, it's always best to try and get some ideas down and also get that interaction going within an online environment. I'm going to be sharing my screen about how best to plan with the tools that are available. Anyway, I'll see you shortly, and let's continue. Okay, I'm going to be using Jamboard, something that was recommended to me earlier this week. Okay, now I've got a few words that I wrote down, and on the first slide that I've got here, I'm going to be writing down here a block of flats. Okay, let's bring that out a little bit. Give some ideas to the students of what they need to do. So match the words on the left with the pictures on the right. And let's display it as a subtitle. Let's duplicate it and bring it down. And now we have semi-detached house. Okay, now as you can see, I've sourced all the images on the right and I've got all the keywords on the left. And what I'm going to try and do afterwards, once I prepared the whole lesson with this, is to share it. At the moment it's only private to me, but you can share it and you can share it to other people. You can restrict it or anyone with the link. Okay. One thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to be spending a bit of time sourcing the images in correspondence to the actual words, the lexical items that you want the students to match. That's what takes the most amount of time. And so far I've spent about 10 minutes finding the particular images. And this activity I would assume will take about 5 minutes, if that. Okay, so that's that. The next thing that I need to work on is the actual student survey, the student-to-student survey. And for this, I'm going to be reverting to Jamboard again and writing out the questions as well. So let's see how we get on. Okay, so I have here now 7 questions which I've typed out related to homes and living, and what I would anticipate for students to be placed into breakout rooms and to have them get access to this and get them to ask each other questions. But at the same time, what I would like them to do is to make a note of the answers that they receive from this, whoever they're asking. I would like them, after they finish the communication exercise, to share their ideas and their opinions on another Word document or Google Drive document, something like that. So I'm going to be looking at this. Let's copy all that. Let's go to Drive, and here I'm going to be sharing the main things that I would like the students to achieve. So that there. Okay, let's paste this out. All right, now because let's bold this, make it a bit more obvious that these are questions, and let's add a bit more space in between. And that's the main Google document prepared for students to share their answers. First thing, matching the pictures and the text together using Jamboard. Nice idea. Thank you to everyone who suggested Jamboard on Twitter. Really appreciate it. Definitely advantage why you really need to get onto Twitter if you haven't already. And also this student survey. That's the sort of interaction that I want to try and encourage between students. I've got the next activity all set up for students on Jamboard, which is great. We've got this, and students move the word and place it in the correct gap, in the correct box. That's essentially what they're doing. Yeah, and it's that simple. So students will be brought together and they have to just try and reorganize it that way. So that's that. Okay, so I've now got the next activity ready where I'm going to be trying to get students into breakout rooms and to try and describe their home using the keywords and the phrases that has already been introduced to them, whether they're describing their home or their neighbourhood. I'm going to focus a bit more on how to plan the reading and make it more natural and personalise it for the students. So what am I going to do? I'm going to be looking at another tool called Padlet, and as you can see, I've used Padlet before in the past, particularly for scavenger hunts. These are really, really good. Really encourages students to share their own experiences. Definitely well worth it. But let's go back and let's make a Padlet. And in this case, I want to make it into a wall. I found a really good wallpaper for Padlet. It really represents the lesson that I'm trying to prepare. And in this, I want students to share their own home with each other within an online environment, and Padlet is great for sharing ideas and that sort of thing. So what we do is we click here and let's say share your home with other students. That's that. So yeah, Padlet is really, really good for getting students to complete tasks in their own time, and definitely recommend it in conjunction with the course book that you're using as well. So well worth it. Okay, so that's how I would plan a particular lesson, particularly trying to maintain that interaction and student-to-student participation and engagement, and definitely recommend a variety of tools that are available for your disposal, especially Padlet when it comes down to getting students to share either videos of themselves or pictures or text or that sort of thing. And also trying to use Jamboard as much as possible. I hope this has given you some ideas on how to plan your own lessons when it comes down to preparing lessons based on an online platform. Obviously, there's certain things that can't be replicated within a physical classroom, but with the tools that are available now, there's certain things that can help you. I hope this has helped, and if you do have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to help. And also, if you have any ideas or recommendations where best to try and prepare for a lesson. Yeah, so that's it from me today. Have a great week. Stay safe, stay happy, and happy teaching. Bye-bye.